Hi everyone, my name's Grace. I'm one of the registered psychologists here at Chiropractic Plus, and I'm popping in today to talk to you about one of the features of anxiety that I often find myself talking about in session. So, anxiety essentially exists because our brain is interpreting something that is not actually a threat to our life as being a threat to our life. So, I talk about this as like a misfiring of the fear system, essentially. The problem with that is that it can get in the way of some decisions that we want to make that will actually make us a bit happier or a bit more content in our lives because our brain is going, no, that's really dangerous and I want to keep you safe. So we can kind of end up in that cycle really quickly where we go, well, if I'm feeling anxious about something, then it must be the wrong decision. So I want to take you through a little bit of a 3-step process today about how you can kind of move through that if you need to. How to stop allowing anxiety to be the thing that stands in the way of you making the decisions that you want to make. So, first question to ask yourself is, what is the possibility of this bad thing happening versus the likelihood of it happening? So, we kind of need to accept that, yes, it is possible that something bad, the kind of feared scenario here, could actually happen. Possibility of it happening though versus the likelihood of it happening. So how often has this happened in the past? Do I know many people that this has happened to before? What would actually need to happen for the thing to come to fruition? Those kind of questions are really important when you're determining what the likelihood of something is versus just whether or not it's actually possible. The second thing is, if the bad thing did happen, how would I cope with that? So what coping resources do I have to be able to move through that really difficult period if the bad thing did actually happen? So what are my social supports? Who would I reach out to? Can I go to therapy? Can I learn different skills to be able to manage that? If it's a really practical thing, do I have money set aside to be able to, handle a rainy day or something like that? So what do I have available to me to cope if this bad thing that may not be that likely did actually come to fruition? The third thing is, can I tolerate the feeling of discomfort, the feeling of nervousness or anxiety, whichever you're experiencing, long enough to allow myself to make that decision? So for example, a big one that comes up in therapy is people want to improve their physical health, but they're really intimidated when it comes to going to a gym, right? And sometimes we've actually got to go, you know what? Maybe we just need to accept that that's going to feel really, really hard for the first 2 to 3 sessions. But what is also true is that you can actually sit with and tolerate that feeling of discomfort long enough for you to go and do the thing that ultimately you want to do and is likely to make you happier and healthier in the long run. So just to recap, 3 questions to try and move through the barrier that anxiety can sometimes present. 1, how possible is this versus how likely is this? 2, what resources do I have available to me to help me cope with it if it did happen? And 3, can I tolerate the feeling long enough to go and do the thing and make the decision? Hopefully that's helpful. If you do feel like you would like a little bit of help with making a decision or help with anxiety generally, feel free to call the clinic and to book in for an appointment.